Dr. Ashley Mitchell suppressed a smile as she watched Ambassador Cathrix's crystalline form flash through various shades of outrage. The alien diplomat's natural bioluminescence had cycled through red, orange, and what she personally liked to call apoplectic purple in the span of 30 seconds. The sight reminded her of a malfunctioning Christmas light display. "This is completely unacceptable." The ambassador's translator struggled to keep up with their rapid-fire clicks and whistles. A single human cannot legally own the Imperial Military Academy through a game of colored paper squares. Standing beside Dr. Mitchell, Jake Thompson, the 22-year-old college student from Nebraska who had accidentally become the legal owner of the Empire's most prestigious military institution, scratched his head sheepishly. "Actually, they're called trading cards, Your Excellency. And according to Imperial Trade Law Section 47B, subsection 12, paragraph 9, the ambassador's color shifted to an entirely new shade of furious. "Do not quote our laws to me, human." "But that's the fun part," Jake continued, pulling out his phone to display a holographic copy of the regulation. "See, when your junior trade delegate challenged me to a game of Galaxy Conquerors, the collectible card game, he invoked the imperial right of trading sovereignty, and since he wagered his ancestral claim to the Academy's property deed." Dr. Mitchell watched the events unfold with the practiced calm of someone who had mediated 46 previous diplomatic incidents with the Galactic Empire. Each one had ended similarly, with humans finding creative ways to drive the Empire's representatives to the brink of madness through perfectly legal means. The conference room of the United Nations building had seen its fair share of unusual diplomatic encounters, but this one was shaping up to be particularly memorable. The holographic displays showing various trade agreements and property laws cast a blue glow across the faces of assembled human diplomats, all of whom were trying, and failing, to maintain professional expressions. The Empire has spent 50,000 years perfecting its legal system. Cathrix's crystalline body was now pulsing so rapidly that several diplomats donned protective sunglasses. It cannot be undone by a human child using recreational gaming materials. "First of all, I'm a senior," Jake corrected politely. "And second, I think you'll find that under the Greater Imperial Commerce Act of Star Date 47,392.1, recreational gaming materials are classified as traditional methods of value exchange when properly registered, which these cards are." He held up a holographic certificate. "I got them notarized last week." Dr. Mitchell decided it was time to intervene before the ambassador's crystalline form shattered from sheer frustration. "Perhaps we could reach a compromise. Mr. Thompson might be willing to lease the Academy back to the Empire for a reasonable fee." "A compromise?" The ambassador's voice reached a pitch that made the windows vibrate. "The Empire does not compromise with." They paused, their translator seemingly struggling to find the right words. "With beings who put dairy products in pressurized containers." "Hey now," Jake protested, "spray cheese is a cultural landmark." The ambassador turned to Dr. Mitchell, their crystalline form now settling into a deep, ominous crimson. "This meeting is over. The Empire will not forget this insult. We have tried to be patient. We have tried to be understanding. But your species continues to follow your rules exactly as written," Dr. Mitchell suggested helpfully. "Hey." The ambassador's translator finally gave up, emitting only a screech of electronic frustration. Cathrix stormed toward the exit, their crystalline form leaving trails of angry light in their wake. At the doorway, they turned for one final declaration. "The Imperial Council will hear of this." As the door slammed shut, Jake turned to Dr. Mitchell with a worried expression. "Was that too much? I just wanted to expand my card collection, not start an interstellar incident." Dr. Mitchell patted his shoulder reassuringly. "Don't worry about it. This is actually the third best diplomatic meeting we've had with them. At least this time, nobody tried to claim ownership of their sacred moon through a game of rock, paper, scissors. She glanced at her watch and smiled. Right on schedule, another Imperial diplomatic mission had ended in chaos. As she gathered her papers, she couldn't help but wonder if perhaps it was time for humanity to try a different approach. After all, if the Empire couldn't handle humans following their rules, maybe it was time to make some rules of their own. General Marcus Hayes stood before the United Nations General Assembly, his weathered face illuminated by the soft glow of holographic displays. The chamber buzzed with anticipation as representatives from every nation on Earth leaned forward in their seats. Behind him, a massive screen displayed what the media had already dubbed the Galactic Restraining Order. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his deep voice carrying across the hushed chamber. "For the past 5 years, we've endured 47 diplomatic missions from the Galactic Empire. Each one has ended with them storming out of our solar system in various states of confusion, frustration, or outright panic." A ripple of knowing chuckles spread through the assembly. On the screen behind him, footage played of previous Imperial ambassadors having meltdowns over everything from Earth's chaotic, multiple time zones to the existence of competitive hot dog eating contests. Yesterday's incident with the trading cards was the last straw. Hayes continued, nodding toward Jake Thompson, who sat in the gallery looking both proud and slightly embarrassed. "Not for them. For us. Dr. Mitchell, would you please present our proposal?" Dr. Ashley Mitchell stepped up to the podium, carrying a tablet that seemed to glow with an almost mischievous light. "Thank you, General. Working with international law expert Dylan Rodriguez and a team of Earth's finest bureaucrats, we've created something unprecedented in galactic history." She tapped her tablet, and the screen behind her filled with text. "We call it the Universal Declaration of Thanks, but no thanks. Instead of waiting for the Empire to decide our fate, we're deciding theirs. We're banning them from Earth and the entire solar system." The assembly erupted in surprised murmurs. A representative from Switzerland raised her hand. "Can we do that? Ban an entire empire?" "Actually, yes." Dylan Rodriguez stepped forward, his glasses reflecting the holographic displays. "Under the Empire's own interstellar diplomatic code, Section 89C, any sovereign system has the right to declare itself a zone of non-interaction. They created this law to avoid dealing with what they call troublesome species. The irony is delicious. But the real beauty," Dr. Mitchell continued, "lies in the fine print. Our declaration includes a comprehensive list of grievances. For instance, their persistent attempts to fix our calendar system because they can't comprehend why we base it on a single planet's rotation." The screen displayed footage of an Imperial diplomat having a nervous breakdown while trying to understand why February sometimes had an extra day. "We've also included their complaints about our food," General Hayes added, "particularly their formal protest about pineapple on pizza, which they claimed violated at least 7 galactic culinary treaties." Laughter rippled through the chamber as the screen showed an Imperial cultural attaché dramatically recoiling from a Hawaiian pizza. "But the core of our declaration is simple," Dr. Mitchell said, her voice growing serious. "Earth chooses its own path. We appreciate the Empire's interest in our planet, but we're not interested in joining their federation of perfectly ordered worlds. We like our chaos. We enjoy our contradictions, and we're tired of them trying to fix what isn't broken." The chamber erupted in applause. Representatives from nations that normally couldn't agree on the color of the sky found themselves nodding in unanimous agreement. "There's more," General Hayes announced once the applause died down. "Along with the declaration, we're implementing what we call Operation Cosmic Keepout." Commander Blackwood. Rachel Blackwood, her Navy uniform crisp and her expression determined, stepped forward. "We're launching a network of satellites that will broadcast our message in every known language, including 17 different dialects of Imperial Standard. The message is simple: Earth is closed for Imperial business. Please respect our boundaries, or we'll be forced to get creative." The assembly burst into laughter again, but there was steel behind the humor. They had all seen what happened when humans got creative with imperial regulations. The vote that followed was historic, the first unanimous decision in UN history. As representatives from every nation signed the declaration, Dr. Mitchell couldn't help but smile. The Empire had spent millennia dealing with species that either resisted violently or submitted meekly. They had no protocol for handling a civilization that simply said, "No thanks," and backed it up with their own bureaucratic weapons. The game was about to change, and Earth was writing the new rules. High Chancellor Vexthor's tentacles had lost all color as they stared at the quantum display screen. Around them, the Imperial Central Processing Hub, a space station the size of Earth's moon, was experiencing something it hadn't faced in 50,000 years, a complete system crash. "What do you mean, error 404? Response not found." The Chancellor's translator struggled to convey their mixture of confusion and horror. "Our systems are perfect." Junior analyst Zixtel, whose presentation, "Did we just get dumped by Earth?" had gone viral across 17 star systems, cleared their throat nervously. "Sir, our bureaucratic protocols, they weren't designed for this. There's no form for processing a rejection from a pre-FTL civilization. The humans have created what we call a logic paradox." The massive quantum computers that managed the Empire's billion-world bureaucracy continued flashing error messages. The latest one read, "Task failed successfully. Species cannot ban Empire before Empire attempts to conquer species. But we haven't even officially offered them membership yet." Another council member, their crystalline form flickering with distress, waved multiple appendages at the screen. "They can't reject an offer that hasn't been made." Actually, Zixtel brought up another holographic display. "According to Earth's declaration, they're rejecting our future offer based on our past behavior." They cited Imperial Code 89C, which they somehow found buried in our legal database, and combined it with Temporal Causality Clause 47B, which... Enough. High Chancellor Vexthor's tentacles had begun to twist into knots, a sign of extreme bureaucratic distress. What are our options? The Imperial Council Chamber, with its perfectly geometric design and mathematically precise architecture, seemed to mock them with its order as chaos unfolded within. On one wall, a real-time display showed the spreading effect of Earth's declaration across Imperial space. Somehow, humans had managed to file their rejection paperwork simultaneously in every Imperial administrative sector. "We could ignore their declaration," suggested one council member, their metallic scales rattling nervously. "Pretend we never received it." "Impossible." Zixtel brought up another screen. They'd registered it with the Galactic Records Office, the Interstellar Bureau of Boundaries, and somehow, the Department of Historical Events that haven't happened yet. They've even paid all the filing fees in advance, with interest calculated to the next century. The High Chancellor's tentacles went from pale to slightly green. How did they even access those offices? They don't have faster-than-light travel. "Through something they call the Internet," Zixtel explained. "They found a way to piggyback their signals through our own communication networks by they checked their notes, disguising them as cat videos." The council chamber erupted in chaos. One member's crystalline form began stress fracturing. Another's metallic scales started playing what sounded suspiciously like Earth's elevator music. "That's not the worst part," Zixtel continued, bringing up yet another display. "They've begun broadcasting their rejection across all frequencies, but they're doing it in the form of something called memes. Our translation computers are having emotional breakdowns trying to understand something called rickrolling." High Chancellor Vexthor slumped in their geometrically perfect chair. "Send a fleet to..." "No, wait. We can't do that. They've banned us." Perhaps a strongly worded letter. "Already tried." Zixtel pulled up another screen. They responded with something called an Uno reverse card and a formal request that all future correspondence be submitted in Comic Sans font, notarized by a species that won't evolve for another 1,000,000 years. The High Chancellor's tentacles drooped completely. Around them, the perfect order of the imperial bureaucracy continued to crumble as Earth's chaos-inducing rejection spread through their systems. Warning messages flashed across every screen. Critical error. Human logic cannot be processed. And warning. Excessive creativity detected. How? They finally asked. How did a species that still thinks digital watches are a pretty neat idea manage to break our entire administrative system? Zixtel, whose presentation was now being studied in imperial universities across the galaxy, offered a slight shrug. Sir, I believe humans have a saying for this. Hold my beer. The High Chancellor didn't understand the reference, but somewhere in their ancient soul, they felt a shiver of fear. The Empire had conquered 1,000,000 worlds through perfect order and flawless bureaucracy, but they had never faced a species that could weaponize chaos itself. Commander Rachel Blackwood stood in NASA's mission control, watching as hundreds of satellites took position around Earth's orbit. On the massive central screen, each new addition to the Great Wall of Nope blinked into existence as a tiny blue dot. "How's our coverage looking, Tyler?" she asked, turning to the young tech prodigy who had somehow programmed the entire network using nothing but energy drinks and sheer determination. Tyler Martinez glanced up from his tablet, dark circles under his eyes testament to countless sleepless nights. "We're at 98% coverage, Commander. Each satellite is equipped with what I like to call the universal translator of rejection. It can say 'go away' in every known language, including 17 different dialects of Imperial Standard. And the special features." Tyler's tired face broke into a mischievous grin. "Oh, those are my favorite part. Watch this." He tapped his tablet, and one of the satellites lit up. The central screen displayed its broadcast, a perfectly looped GIF of a cat knocking objects off a table, overlaid with the text "Earth's response to Imperial membership" in glowing Imperial script. From her station across the room, Dr. Ashley Mitchell couldn't help but laugh. The Empire's AI translators are going to have an existential crisis trying to process that. "That's just the beginning," Tyler said, swiping through more examples. "We've got thousands of memes ready to deploy, each one specifically designed to crash their logic circuits. My personal favorite is the one explaining Earth's time zones using nothing but SpongeBob references." Commander Blackwood nodded approvingly, then turned her attention to another section of mission control, where former corporate lawyer Michael O'Connor had set up what he called the Bureaucratic Bombardment Center. "How's the paperwork coming, Michael?" O'Connor looked up from a stack of documents that seemed to defy physics in their complexity. "We've created the most comprehensive legal framework for non-interaction ever conceived. Want to visit Earth? First, you need to fill out Form 27B6, which requires proof that you've already filled out Form 27B6. Isn't that impossible?" Dr. Mitchell asked. "Exactly," O'Connor beamed. "And that's just the beginning. We've created a legal paradox so perfect it would make Kafka weep. The Empire's bureaucrats will need to submit applications in triplicate, with each copy notarized by a different species, including one that's extinct and one that hasn't evolved yet." The room's attention shifted as Jake Thompson, the accidental owner of the Imperial Military Academy, burst through the doors waving a stack of trading cards. "I've got it. I've figured out how to legally classify our entire solar system as a collector's edition trading card." Commander Blackwood pinched the bridge of her nose. "Jake, we're trying to keep the Empire out, not give them another reason to have a collective aneurysm." No, hear me out," Jake insisted. "Under Imperial trade law, collector's items are protected by 17 different preservation clauses. If we declare Earth a limited edition holographic foil card..." Before he could finish, the main screen lit up with an alert. A small Imperial probe had just entered the outer solar system. "Perfect timing," Tyler grinned, fingers flying across his tablet. "Initiating first contact protocol. Thanks, but no thanks." The satellite network sprang into action. The probe was immediately bombarded with an endless stream of cat videos, each one subtly encoding different sections of Earth's restraining order. Interspersed between them were perfectly timed episodes of reality TV's greatest meltdowns and a comprehensive documentary about the evolution of internet memes. The probe's systems struggled to process the information overload. Its attempts to classify and categorize the data caused its quantum processors to tie themselves in knots. After 3 minutes of exposure to humanity's digital chaos, it turned around and flowed back into deep space. Commander Blackwood watched it go with satisfaction. Send the after-action report to the UN. Operation Cosmic Keepout is officially online. Should we mention that the probe started playing Never Gonna Give You Up before it retreated? Tyler asked innocently. Oh, definitely include that, Dr. Mitchell grinned. The Empire needs to understand exactly what they're dealing with. We're not just saying no. We're saying no in the most human way possible. As the team celebrated their first successful defense, the satellite network continued its broadcast, surrounding Earth in a shield made not of energy or matter, but of pure, weapons-grade human chaos. The message was clear. Earth was closed for Imperial business, and they had the means to prove it. Admiral James Cooper stared through the International Space Station's observation window at what could only be described as a bureaucratic armada. The Imperial fleet had arrived carrying enough forms to deforest an entire solar system, their ships shaped like perfectly geometric filing cabinets. Well, he said into his comlink, they certainly know how to make an entrance. Dr. Mitchell, are you seeing this? Down in Mission Control, Dr. Ashley Mitchell watched the same scene through their satellite feeds. Oh yes, I count 12 Imperial bureaucratic vessels, 3 administrative support cruisers, and what appears to be their flagship, the Infinite Paperwork. The Imperial fleet had positioned itself just beyond Earth's new satellite network, their ships arranging themselves in a mathematically perfect formation that somehow managed to look smug. They're broadcasting. Tyler Martinez announced from his station, energy drink in hand. Putting it on speakers. Attention Earth, a precisely modulated voice declared. We have arrived with Form 27X9 version 12.3, the official Imperial response to unofficial rejection of unofficial membership offer. Michael O'Connor, who had been waiting for this moment, stepped up to the communications array with a gleam in his eye. This is Earth's Office of Bureaucratic Warfare. Please be advised that as of Solar Standard Time 1427, all Imperial forms must be submitted in Comic Sans font, printed on recycled paper made from trees that have given their express written consent to be turned into bureaucratic materials. There was a long pause from the Imperial fleet. That is not a real requirement, the Imperial voice finally responded, though with noticeably less certainty. Oh, really? Emma Sullivan, the former Brooklyn barista turned space lawyer, joined O'Connor at the comm. I direct your attention to Earth Legal Code 42, subsection J, paragraph 3, which clearly states, and I quote, all intergalactic paperwork must respect the rights of photosynthetic beings, as established by the Tree Rights Movement of 2024. The Imperial ships visibly wobbled in their perfect formation. Furthermore, Emma continued, warming to her subject, we'll need each form notarized by 3 different species, including one that technically doesn't exist yet. We've taken the liberty of scheduling your appointment with them for next Tuesday. Next Tuesday. The Imperial translators seem to be having trouble processing this. But if they don't exist yet, how can we? Oh, and one more thing, Michael added cheerfully. All forms must be submitted with a cover sheet featuring at least one cat meme. We recommend Business Cat for formal documents. The Imperial fleet's perfect geometric formation began to show signs of stress. Several smaller ships started to list slightly to one side, their rigid angles developing concerning curves. This is unacceptable, the Imperial voice declared. We have brought the most comprehensive collection of forms in the galaxy. That's nice, Emma replied. However, according to Section 7 of Earth's Just Leave This Alone Already treaty, All Imperial documentation must also be accompanied by an interpretive dance explaining the purpose of each form. We'll need that recorded and submitted in triplicate, with at least one version performed underwater. Admiral Cooper watched from the ISS as the Imperial ships started to show visible signs of distress. Their perfectly squared edges were beginning to round, and several had developed what looked suspiciously like stress fractures. "Should we show them the rest of our requirements?" Tyler asked, his fingers hovering over his console. "I've got 17 PowerPoint presentations ready to go, each with randomly timed slide transitions, and at least one Comic Sans slide that plays, 'Never Gonna Give You Up.'" Dr. Mitchell held up her hand. "Wait for it." The Imperial flagship's perfectly geometric form suddenly developed a distinct tilt. This is impossible. Our forms are perfect. Our bureaucracy is flawless." "Oh, we're just getting started," Michael grinned. "Wait until they see our requirement for all documents to be approved by a committee of cats. And not just any cats. They must be cats who have expressed a particular disdain for paperwork." That was the final straw. The Imperial fleet's formation collapsed completely as their ships began a hasty retreat, leaving behind a scatter of partially completed forms that would never meet Earth's exacting standards. As they watched the bureaucratic armada flee, Emma turned to Michael with a satisfied smile. "You know what the best part is? Everything we just said is now officially part of Earth's legal code, thanks to their attempt to file a response. They just inadvertently legitimized our entire system by trying to challenge it. Congratulations, everyone." Admiral Cooper's voice came through the comm. "We just won our first paper war without firing a single shot. Though I have to ask, do we really have a tree rights movement?" "We do now," Emma grinned. "The Empire just officially recognized it by trying to deny its existence. Sometimes the best defense is a bureaucracy so absurd it loops back around to being legally binding." Wyatt Carson adjusted his cowboy hat in the artificial atmosphere of the Last Stop Saloon, an establishment he'd cunningly hidden inside a hollowed-out asteroid near Pluto. The former rodeo champion turned space smuggler watched with amusement as his latest batch of customers tried to figure out the concept of nachos. "So, you're saying," a crystalline being flickered in confusion, "that the cheese is both a solid and a liquid?" "That's the beauty of it, partner," Wyatt drawled, sliding another plate across the bar's polished surface. "Just like how this here establishment doesn't officially exist on any Imperial star charts." The Last Stop Saloon had become the galaxy's hottest black market in just 3 months. Its location, technically outside both Earth's no Imperial business zone and Imperial space proper, made it the perfect spot for what Wyatt called cultural exchange and what the Empire called highly illegal contamination of Imperial society. "Carson." Emma Sullivan's hologram flickered to life above the bar. The space lawyer looked both amused and exasperated. "Did you just register the Last Stop as a temporary quantum fluctuation in space-time dedicated to the preservation of Earth's liquid cheese heritage?" "Sure did," Wyatt grinned, serving up another round of root beer to a group of Imperial scholars who had become addicted to the stuff. "According to Imperial law, cultural heritage sites can't be regulated until they've been properly classified. And since they can't classify liquid cheese, you're a genius," Emma laughed. "A completely insane genius." The saloon's main door hissed open, admitting a group of hooded figures that Wyatt recognized as members of the Imperial High Council. They'd been showing up more frequently lately, drawn by what had become the hottest contraband in Imperial space, Earth's entertainment media. "Evening, folks," Wyatt tipped his hat. "The usual." The lead figure glanced around furtively before responding in a whispered hiss. "Do you have the new episodes?" Wyatt pulled out a data crystal. "Season finale of Real Housewives of New Jersey just came in. That'll be 3 quantum processors and a complete blueprint of Imperial faster-than-light technology." "Done." The council member pushed forward a package. "But if anyone asks, You were here conducting an official investigation into unauthorized cheese distribution. Wyatt nodded. Your secret's safe with me. Though you might want to stop humming the Friends theme song during Imperial meetings. Across the bar, a group of younger Imperial citizens were engaged in heated debate over Earth's most controversial export, memes. Their translator unit struggled to keep up as they argued about proper usage of "this is fine, dog" in formal Imperial documents. Mr. Carson, a metallic being, approached the bar, their scales shifting nervously. Is it true what they say? That humans have created entertainment programs specifically for felines? Cat videos. Wyatt grinned, pulling out another data crystal. Buddy, you ain't seen nothing yet. But fair warning, this is gateway content. Next thing you know, you'll be demanding pizza and arguing about pineapple toppings. The saloon's atmosphere was a strange mix of Earth country music, Imperial classical harmonics, and the occasional burst of laughter as aliens discovered the concept of dad jokes. On one wall, a continuously updated feed showed Earth's latest memes, each one carefully explained with Imperial subtitles that somehow made them even funnier. Breaking news, the feed suddenly announced. Imperial Ministry of Culture declares emergency session to address growing epidemic of yeet being used in formal documents. Wyatt checked his watch, an antique piece that drove Imperial scientists crazy with its deliberate inefficiency, and started counting down. Right on schedule, Dr. Mitchell's encrypted message arrived. Weekly report, Imperial cultural contamination proceeding faster than expected. High Council members now addicted to soap operas. Imperial youth starting underground democracy clubs. Requesting permission to introduce them to karaoke. Wyatt sent back his response. Already done. You should see their version of Sweet Home Alabama. Also, they've started putting cheese on everything. Everything. As he looked around his impossible bar at the edge of known space, Wyatt couldn't help but smile. Earth's official ban had worked better than anyone expected, precisely because it was official. Nothing made Imperial citizens want something more than being told they couldn't have it. Hey, he called out to the bar at large, who wants to learn about something called line dancing. The resulting enthusiasm proved once again that in the grand cosmic scheme of things, humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology, their bureaucracy, or even their chaos. It was their ability to make everything they did look like way too much fun to resist. Olivia Winters, Earth's leading social media expert, stared at her monitors in mission control with a mixture of pride and amazement. They've done it, she announced to the room. Imperial teens have just made Earth style the #1 trending topic across all 17,000 Imperial star systems. Dr. Ashley Mitchell leaned over her shoulder, watching as millions of alien youth posted videos of themselves wearing ripped jeans, attempting to recreate Earth dances, and most shockingly of all, being sarcastic. The Empire's cultural ministry is going to have a meltdown, she grinned. How many underground Earth clubs are we tracking now? At least 10,000 confirmed locations, Olivia replied, pulling up a star map dotted with glowing points. And those are just the ones we know about. The most popular one is called Democracy and Chill. They meet in abandoned quantum data centers to watch Earth political documentaries and practice voting. On another screen, security footage from an Imperial Cultural Preservation Center showed a group of young aliens attempting to start a flash mob. Their crystalline and metallic forms moved in surprisingly good sync to Uptown Funk. Breaking news from Imperial Center. Tyler Martinez called out from his station. The Ministry of Proper Behavior has just declared a state of emergency. Apparently, someone taught their quantum AI the concept of casual Fridays. The room erupted in laughter, but their attention was quickly drawn to a new alert. Commander Blackwood pulled up the main screen, displaying what appeared to be a protest outside Imperial Palace. Are those meme signs? She asked, squinting at the footage. Oh, it gets better. Olivia zoomed in. They're using our satellite defense system's cat memes as protest art. That icon has freedom. Poster is actually based on one of our orbital broadcasts. The protest was unlike anything the Empire had seen before. Instead of the usual ordered, geometric formations, the young protesters moved in chaotic, unpredictable patterns. Some had modified their natural bioluminescence or metallic scales to display Earth-style graffiti art. Others had somehow taught their universal translators to speak in Gen Z slang. Your Imperial Majesty, one protest leader's sign read, "This ain't it, Chief." "Look at this," Tyler pointed to another feed. They're starting something called Imperial Youth TikTok. Their first viral challenge is called Transform Your Mandatory Geometric Shape into Something Random. Dr. Mitchell watched as young aliens across the Empire began deliberately altering their perfectly symmetrical forms into abstract shapes that would have made their geometry teachers weep. They're not just copying Earth culture, she realized. They're using it to express their own rebellion. Jake Thompson, who had been analyzing the trends, spoke up from his station. "It's not just the youth either. I'm seeing underground markets for Earth music popping up everywhere. The #1 hit in Imperial space right now is a remix of Sweet Home Alabama performed entirely in quantum harmonics." And the fashion. Olivia pulled up more footage. Imperial designers are trying to figure out how to adapt ripped jeans for crystalline life forms. Someone even started a petition to allow Hawaiian shirts in formal Imperial ceremonies. The Empire's response to this cultural invasion had been predictably bureaucratic and predictably ineffective. Their attempts to ban Earth influence had backfired spectacularly, making everything from Earth seem infinitely cooler to young Imperial citizens. "Check this out," Tyler laughed, pulling up an official Imperial warning about Earth culture. The document had been so heavily memmed that the original text was barely visible under layers of SpongeBob references and Doge speak. "But here's my favorite part," Olivia said, bringing up one final feed. "They're starting to create their own memes. Look at this. Distressed Imperial officer is trending across all networks. It's just security footage of an Imperial bureaucrat having a breakdown over humans putting pineapple on pizza, but they've turned it into a template for protesting arbitrary rules." Dr. Mitchell sat back, taking it all in. Earth's official ban had created something far more powerful than any military victory. It had made Earth culture the ultimate act of rebellion. Imperial youth weren't just copying Earth. They were using Earth's chaos as a tool to reshape their society. "Should we be worried?" Commander Blackwood asked, watching as another flash mob broke out, this time to the Macarena. "Are you kidding?" Olivia grinned. "This is exactly what we wanted. We didn't just ban them from Earth. We made them want to be more like Earth. And the best part, they think it was all their idea." As if to prove her point, a new alert flashed across the screens. The Imperial Ministry of Culture had just discovered something called Imperial Vines, 7-second quantum probability loops that somehow always ended with someone falling over. The revolution wouldn't be televised. It would be memed. Dr. Ashley Mitchell straightened her jacket as she stepped into the United Nations chamber, 5 years to the day after Earth had first banned the Galactic Empire. Behind her, General Marcus Hayes carried what the media had dubbed the most chaotic peace treaty in history. "Are we really calling it the Just Leave Us Alone Already treaty?" he whispered as they approached the podium. "Actually," Dr. Mitchell smiled, "the Empire insisted on it. Apparently, it's already become a meme in their legal system." The chamber was packed with delegates from every nation, along with an unprecedented addition, a holographic feed showing billions of Imperial citizens watching the proceedings. Most of the younger aliens were wearing Earth-style clothing, their geometric forms deliberately sculpted into what they called chaotic chic. High Chancellor Vexthor's hologram appeared at the designated spot, their tentacles now permanently tied in bureaucratic stress knots. "We are here to formally recognize Earth's right to be left alone," they announced, their translator struggling to maintain its formal tone as someone in the Imperial Palace played "Never Gonna Give You Up" in the background. "Thank you, Chancellor," Dr. Mitchell responded. "Shall we begin with the traditional Earth ceremony of signing important documents?" "You mean the one where everyone uses a different pen and we don't sign in alphabetical order?" The Chancellor's tentacles twisted further. "How do you live like this?" From his seat in the gallery, Jake Thompson, still the technical owner of the Imperial Military Academy, called out, "Don't forget to initial each page randomly." The signing ceremony that followed would be studied by Imperial bureaucrats for centuries as their worst nightmare made manifest. Each delegate signed in a different color, some added doodles, and Emma Sullivan insisted on having her cat serve as a witness, a requirement she had somehow made legally binding through a series of precedents involving the Last Stop Saloon's karaoke nights. Furthermore, Michael O'Connor read from the treaty, "The Empire acknowledges Earth's right to maintain its chaotic and completely incomprehensible system of multiple governments, time zones, and pizza toppings." Commander Blackwood, monitoring from Mission Control, reported that several Imperial legal databases were having nervous breakdowns trying to process the treaty's deliberate contradictions and meme-based clauses. "We've also included," Dr. Mitchell continued, "Earth's requirement that all future diplomatic communications must include at least one cat picture and be submitted in interpretive dance form." That part, High Chancellor Vexthor admitted reluctantly, has actually improved our internal communications. The Interdepartmental Mind Division is now our most effective branch. The treaty's most significant victory, however, wasn't in its official terms. As Olivia Winter's social media monitors showed, Imperial society had been irreversibly changed by 5 years of Earth's cultural influence. Democracy clubs had become mainstream. Imperial youth insisted on voting for their local administrators, and the concept of casual Fridays had spread to even the highest levels of government. "There's one more thing," Dr. Mitchell added with a smile. "Earth would like to officially gift the Empire with something we call the Constitutional Monarchy Starter Pack." The Chancellor's hologram flickered in surprise. "You're sharing your governmental technology." "Well, you're going to need it." Tyler Martinez chimed in from his console. "According to my latest analysis, about 60% of Imperial citizens are now regularly using the phrase, 'we the people' in formal documents." The signing ceremony concluded with what the Empire considered the ultimate indignity, a group selfie. As cameras flashed and Imperial youth across the galaxy copied the pose, Dr. Mitchell realized they had achieved something unprecedented. Earth hadn't just defended itself. It had transformed an empire through the power of pure weapons-grade chaos. "One question," General Hayes asked as they watched the Imperial delegation attempt to do the Macarena. "Did we just accidentally speedrun an entire civilization's social evolution by telling them they couldn't have it?" "Pretty much," Dr. Mitchell laughed. "Turns out the best way to spread democracy wasn't through force or diplomacy. It was through memes, music, and really questionable pizza toppings." From his bar near Pluto, Wyatt Carson raised a glass as he watched the ceremony. The Last Stop Saloon was now officially recognized as a cultural exchange center, though he still insisted on keeping the sign that read "No Imperial Business," except on karaoke night. Earth had done the impossible. They had defeated an empire not through war or politics, but by being so chaotically interesting that the empire had no choice but to change. As High Chancellor Vexthor would later write in their memoirs, which became an instant bestseller thanks to its liberal use of Earth-style humor, "We came to change them. Instead, they changed us. And the most infuriating part, we actually kind of like it."